Lila's Journey into the Heart of Oregon's Tillamook State Forest. Part 1: The Fork in the Trail, A Choice of Fate. In the heart of Oregon's Tillamook State Forest, where the towering firs rise like ancient guardians and the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and the forest thrums with the hum of life, lies a network of trails that beckon the most adventurous spirits. It is a land imbued with a sacred kind of magic, an ethereal stretch of forest kissed by sunlight and shadow, where the contrast between serenity and danger dances in its golden rays. Our tale begins with a girl named Lila, a curious wanderer with an insatiable thirst for exploration. On a sun-drenched morning, she laced up her hiking boots, eager to venture into the verdant depths of the forest. Her day was brimmed with possibility, and with the melodious songs of birds and the gentle rustling of leaves composing a symphony that entranced her soul, she set out. As Lila commenced her journey along the narrow winding path, filled with vibrant blooms of wildflowers that painted the earth with bursts of color, and with every step she inhaled the refreshing air, letting the forest embrace and ignite her wonder, inviting her to uncover the secrets it held deep within. An hour into her hike, Lila came upon a fork in the trail. The well-trodden path veered right, winding pleasantly towards an enchanting waterfall, its cascading waters shimmering like a veil of diamonds. However, the left path, overgrown with dense underbrush, shrouded in shadows, seemed to whisper to her, enticing her with a promise of adventure that few had experienced. Tempted by the call of the unknown, Lila took the road less traveled, unaware that it would lead her into a labyrinth of solitude and uncertainty. As she continued to venture deeper into the wilderness, the sounds of human life faded into a distant memory, replaced by the soothing whispers of the trees and the soft murmur of a nearby creek. The air grew cooler, thick with moisture that clung to her skin as the dappled sunlight danced through the leaves overhead. However, as the minutes turned to hours, an unsettling stillness settled upon the forest, the songs of the birds falling silent as if the woods held their breath. Shadows deepened, cloaking the forest floor as the sun began to wane. Lila paused, glancing over her shoulder, but the familiar trail had vanished before her very eyes, panic fluttering at the edges of her mind. Steadying herself, she pressed forward with the hopes of finding a connecting trail or a sign that might point the way. But as the foliage thickened around her, each step became a trial of endurance, the underbrush grasping at her with gnarled fingers as if the forest wished to claim her. Hours melted into one another as Lila pressed on, her heart a wild drum echoing against the growing uncertainty in her mind. As twilight began to paint the sky in shades of amber and violet, shadows deepened in the forest, stretching and twisting into shapes that danced at the corners of her vision. It was then that she spotted a small clearing up ahead, a glimmer of hope amidst the encroaching darkness of the forest. But as she stumbled into the clearing, she fell to her knees in tears, feeling utterly defeated. Lila took a deep breath, her heart still pounding in rhythm with the realization that she had lost her way. As the sun dipped below the horizon, darkness enveloped the forest like a shroud. Panic clawed at her throat. She stumbled back to her feet, glancing around in a frantic search for any sign of her path, but it was as if the woods had conspired to erase all memories of her journey. The chilly air grew heavier as the last light faded, leaving her in a daunting expanse of black. And now she was faced with the grim reality she needed to find shelter for the night. Water was running low, and the thought of foraging in an unfamiliar terrain left her anxious. She felt a weight settle in her chest, a desperate wish that she had shared her plans with someone, anyone. How could she be so irresponsible? Resigned to the encroaching night, Lila gathered what little strength she had left. She began to gather fallen branches and leaves, her hands trembling with both cold and fear. The forest, once enchanting, now loomed around her like ancient beasts. As she constructed her makeshift shelter, the reality of her choices settled heavy upon her shoulders. The sounds of the nights creaked eerily through the trees, the whisper of the winds echoing her regrets. Once her meager shelter was complete, Lila curled within its confines, pulling her jacket tight around her to ward off the chill. The ground beneath her was damp and uneven, but exhaustion washed over her, a dark tide that beckoned her into a restless slumber. Yet her mind swirled with fears of what awaited in the abyss of the night, the rustle of hidden creatures, the echo of her isolation, and the haunting specter of what lay beyond the flickering boundaries of her makeshift refuge. As she nestled deeper into her shelter, the thoughts of her mother's advice and her friend's warning still echoed in her mind. The forest was a sanctuary of beauty, but it held shadows that could swallow her whole. With the cold seeping into her bones and her heart drumming a frantic beat, Lila finally closed her eyes, surrendering to the whispers of the forest, and with that she slipped into a restless sleep, unaware that the very secrets of the forest were stirring, preparing to test her resolve in ways she could never imagine. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed the first part of the story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss part two. Until next time, I'm your host, Angie. Thanks for watching The Grim Narrative.